going on, everyone? This is the Popcorn Heroes review of Palm Springs, a Hulu movie. I am Armando. With me today is God's gift, Orlando. What's up, man?
Yo. What's up, man? Yo.
So, Palm Springs had a very interesting little journey because it premiered in the Sundance Film Festival, and then Hulu bought the rights of the movie for $17.5 million, which is the biggest sale in festival history for them. Sundance, not all of them, just that one. So that's pretty interesting. They wanted it, the studio wanted it to be which is Neon. Wanted to premiere in the movies, but shit happens. Went straight to streaming. Hulu got in there and did what it needed to do. So Orlando, as we usually do, tell me the premise.
So the premise is basically this guy Niles wakes up on the day of his girlfriend's best friend's wedding, and he meets someone who's attending the wedding, and you pretty much find out that Niles has been living that day over and over again, the day of the wedding, and he brings on that person whose name is Sarah along for the Groundhog Day Groundhog Day like fiasco of reliving that day over and over. And that's it.
Yeah, good job, man. Great premise, very straightforward. Loved it. So Orlando, what do you say, man? 1 out of 5. Small thoughts, then we get into it. Let's get it.
I would give it a 3. I liked it. I really liked it. I thought it was it's funny because I feel like Groundhog Day is like such a famous movie, but in recent time we've been getting so many of those like never ending day movies with like Russian Doll and was it Edge of the World or Edge of Tomorrow? Edge of Tomorrow. I feel like living the day over and over again movies have been like resurfacing in popularity. So I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty cool. I like the premise of it. I like the two main stars. I thought they had a pretty good chemistry. I like their witty banner. I would say as like a Lonely Island movie, like as a production of like Andy Samberg's company, it's like one of my least favorites because I think it's the least wackiest of their movies that they've done.
I think that was part of the purpose, though.
Yeah, this is more grounded, even though the premise is a bit, silly, a bit like crazy. It's a bit more grounded in terms of performances. But I overall enjoyed it. It's coming to the point now where like I realize that Andy Samberg is like Adam Sandler to me, where it's just like not nostalgia, but like they have a very not a similar humor, but just it's just brand. Humor that like it feels like very like 90s brand, like Andy Samberg, and like what he does as comedy has always felt like a very 90s style of comedy. So like it feels very nostalgic to me. That's why I always like gravitate towards his movies. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I actually give it a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. I liked the uniqueness of the Groundhog Day kind of story. We'll jump more into it when we go to the spoilers because I don't want to ruin the whole thing. But I enjoyed the actors. There's a lot of actors in this movie, man. You had Andy Samberg. You had this girl, the Kristen, which is the Sarah. What I think her name is, right? You said Sarah.
Sarah, right?
Then you had J.K. Simmons, dude, in this movie, like, which is fucking crazy. J.K. Simmons is in this movie. It's, like, small role, but insane that he's in here, right? Then you had the guy got Peter Gallagher. He was the guy from the OC and some various other shit he's popped in. And then you had the girl from what's the name of that show? Oh my god, the Archie show.
Riverdale.
Riverdale. Yeah, the Veronica from Riverdale. And then you got the Tyler Hoechlin guy, which he's done a lot of shit too. And it's, I don't know, it's just a whole bunch of people in this movie, you know. And you got that Kristen girl from How I Met Your Mother. I don't know. It was very nice to see a whole bunch, like a kind of a big cast in this movie. And they all did play their parts really, really well. So I enjoyed that. What are you gonna say, Orlando?
Yeah, no, I really didn't know everyone in the movie. Like, I didn't know like most of the most like the ones you just mentioned. I didn't know where they were from, but yeah, it seemed like a very like robust cast of actors.
Yeah. The Tyler Hoechlin guy is he's the little kid from Road to Perdition, and then he kind of came back. His kind of a comeback role, I guess you could say, was the werewolf show on MTV, Teen Wolf. So that's where I remember, another one I remember him from. And then he's the CW incarnation of Superman. So, which is pretty cool. And then the other ones are the main girl from How I Met Your Mother. She's the mother. And then Annie Samberg. But yeah, overall the movie was pretty good. I enjoyed the story and how it flowed. I wasn't bored watching it at all. I thought it had, like you said, they're both witty characters, so their banter was pretty witty. I wouldn't say it's a funny movie, but there was funny moments in the movie. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think it was a pretty good movie. Orlando, would you recommend it to someone?
Yeah, definitely. I think if you're a fan of just like romantic comedies and more of the silly kind, like less like traditional, this is definitely up your alley. So yeah, I really liked it. I think definitely you should watch it if you're into that kind of stuff, especially if you're into like 90s comedy. It reminded me of like very goofy 90s rom-coms.
Yeah, I'll recommend it too. It's a very nice rom-com. It's a nice like I think people would enjoy it, especially if you like Andy Samberg and all these other people in this movie. I don't think no one is goofy or silly or out of whack. I mean, like it compared to all the Lonely Island stuff. But this movie is just pretty straightforward, and I think it's a good movie that people could watch and will really end up enjoying it for sure. But let's get into the spoilers. Let's get into it. We're going into spoilers. Spoilers ahead. Spoilers now. Spoilers. All right. So, what I really liked about this movie is the fact that it wasn't the typical like time loop story of like, oh, you have to figure yourself out and you have to figure out the moral of your story to get out of the time loop. I like the fact that it was just like, it's some time shit and you have to figure out time to get the fuck out of it. I think once that it finally hit that point, I was like, damn, I really like this movie now, because it wasn't them trying to figure out some sort of moral shit that was happening. I think I really enjoyed that part of it.
You know what? That's so true that you're saying that. I didn't catch. I guess I caught it, but I didn't realize how much of a trope that is. Of like, you have to like find out why you're here so you can leave. Mm-hmm. And you're right, because the minute she was just like, oh, I need to be selfless, I need to like, do something good. And then she essentially, I think she tells her sister that she cheated on, like her husband cheated on her with her, I think that's what she told her. I think that was like the more you realize, oh shit, no, this has nothing to do with like you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't notice. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize how much of a trope that was.
Yeah, a majority of all these time things always have that as the key of to getting escaping this world, and the fact that she had to learn physics and all this other bullshit just to kind of like, oh wait, this is how I could probably possibly get out of it. And I thought that was a really cool, unique way of them finding a way to exit all that time continuum shit. And on top of that, I really liked how Annie Samberg was in it for a very long time. Like, because he doesn't even remember how long he's been in there. And I think that was a pretty interesting, like idea of like someone just being stuck there for like maybe years, maybe. Like he's probably been stuck in there.
I mean, essentially, you'd think he's been stuck in there for like decades. I think, because like he forgets what his old life was, like what he did as a job. He forgot he forgot a lot of things. Even like when she came back and I think she threw him like a birthday party, like the millionth birthday.
Yeah.
Like you realize like, oh shit, you've been here for a while. Like you've been here for a long time.
Do you think he actually forgot or he just didn't want to tell her?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't. It also seemed like he was reluctant to like explore, go back to his life. So it's one of those things that like he was probably happy that he got stuck there. Not happy, but he became okay with it. The more complacent, the more he stayed. Maybe he realized the life he had back at his in reality or back at home wasn't what he wanted. So because even at the end when she's just like, look, like we can go together and essentially like, you know, we don't know what's gonna happen, like we can die and then we can like, or this might not work and then we have to wake up the next morning, or it could work and we'll be together again the next day. So like it's a weird thing that like he was so reluctant on it, because I would say like 75, you have a 75% chance of like it working out in your favor, because if you want her to be with you, if you guys go together and it's the next day she's with you, if it doesn't work and you guys wake up in the same, you know, back in square one, like back to like you know, doing the loop again, it works out in your favor again. The only time it doesn't work out is if you died. But also you died so many times already that like, what's the difference?
Yeah.
So it was just so weird that he was like, no, I want you to stay here with me in this like time loop. But like, it's just like, but you can try her theory out and you can still be with her. Yeah. You know, because she was offering it. Yeah, because she was offering it to him like, hey, I'm here to save you. Like I want you to know that this might be our ticket out of here. She could have just left without him, but she decided to tell him because in a way, even if she seemed like she didn't want to be with him, she was more inclined to be with him. Yeah. Because her initial reaction was like, even though like I'm mad at you, whatever, I want you to come back with me, or I want to save you from this area. So from this time loop. So it was very weird that he was reluctant. Like that was kind of, I kind of hate when movies do that, where they have that part where like, where they had to give you some like drama. There's always like that, some drama, like it's like you have the drama already without her, and she comes back and then she's like, hey, I have a solution, and you're like, no, and then you have to realize something, and then you're like, okay, I thought about it. It's like I don't know, like I don't know why.
Haven't you been thinking about it for the X amount of time you've been in here?
Yeah, I'm not sure why movies do that. Like they always try. It could have been like, oh yeah, sure, let's do that and see what happens, and it could have ended like 20 minutes earlier. Yeah. But yeah, I really liked it.
You know, there was towards the end, I was getting really mad because nobody was talking about what was his name, Bob or Rob or whatever his name was. I forgot his name. J.K. Simmons.
Roy.
Roy. There you go. I was getting really mad that nobody was mentioning Roy. Like, hey, we have to help Roy too. We have to get him out. And then, and then the movie ended, and I'm like, I was mad. I was like, holy shit, they didn't get Roy out. I'm so pissed right now. And then if you wait a little bit during the mid credits, he pops up and he went like he went back to the wedding to talk to Annie Samberg, and then he ends up realizing that. You end up realizing that she did tell him the solution of like, hey, this is how you can get out of this loop, and he realized it at that moment, and I was just like, man, thank God it did that, because if they didn't do that, I would have been so mad with this movie. I would have knocked it like a point and a half, man, because why would you leave him there when you could have gotten him out too? I was so mad.
It's such a weird thing because like, so it looks like time just stood still for them. And then the next day, like, as if, like, even though they've been there for years, centuries or whatever, it's okay. Like, time it's the next day. It's November 10th. Like,
yeah,
it must be such a weird thing, especially when you lived so many days with, like, one day with so many different people, and that, like, like, especially for Niles. His character, he must have fucked with everyone so much that he knows everyone's ins and outs. Like, you just can't go back and, like, just shoot the breeze with people. Like, so much about them,
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but it'd just be so jarring. Like, because you literally, like you said, like, he slept with, like, multiple people in the family. Like, he's fucked around with, like, he knows, like, so many things you must have done to that family, like, in general. Like... Yeah. Over the years and years of you fucking with them.
Yeah.
So, like, I just find that very funny that, like, I always find that funny with time loop movies because, like, it always goes back to, like, as if nothing happened. But what if, like, you go back but everyone's aged and you're just the same,
Yeah,
but then that's another dilemma then.
I think that'd be a unique twist on that. Like, if they get out of it and it just jumps them all the time they've missed, instead of going back to the next day.
Right.
I think that would be such a unique idea and premise of just like, hey, I've been stuck in a time loop. Like him, maybe let's say he's stuck in a time loop for 10 years, and then when he gets out of it, he jumps 10 years instead of the next day. I think that would have been a super unique idea if anyone ever decides to do that. To give it another different twist of like all the time you spent in the loop is the time you missed in real life. I think that'd be pretty cool. Would you like to be stuck in a time loop, Orlando?
Absolutely. I mean, it depends on the day, but absolutely not. I mean, there's some benefits though, because you can mess up 1,000 times and then the next day, like, it goes back to being normal. But I would like a time loop for, like, not to be stuck in. Like, hey, you're gonna live a time loop for like 5 months. All right, cool. Like, COVID has been a time loop, and COVID feels like a time loop sometimes. Just being stuck in quarantine and waking up and doing the same thing over and over. That's a fucking time loop.
Yeah.
So, people have been doing a time loop this whole year. So,
yeah.
But
I think being stuck in a time loop in a great day would be like the most perfect thing ever.
Right. Yeah, just a great day, and not even, because then the great day becomes mundane. So then eventually, like, all right, what can I do to fuck with this day, So, but I think a time loop with like some like limitations in terms of like how long this will last is fine. Like, time loop for like 5 months, cool. Like, let me do everything I want to do.
You wouldn't be bored in 5 months doing the same shit over and over again?
I don't think so, because like it's like you said, like, with the time loop, you could spend all the money you want to spend, and then the next day, you're back to like the same amount of money that you had originally that day. So yeah. I could travel in one day. I can, do a bunch of stuff in one day. So like I could live life to the fullest for that one whole day, and I could keep doing it over and over and over.
Yeah. I meet a bunch of different.
Ooh,
people.
I can find the perfect way to die. If you think about it, because you could die so many times, you could think about like, ooh, I wonder if you drown, is drowning, does that sounds terrifying, but how painful is it? If it's not that painful, like, okay, that's a good way to go. It's a bit morbid to think of, but that'd be pretty
Yeah,
interesting.
I think if I was able to get stuck in a time loop, I think I'll try to see how it is to die in multiple ways. Of course, like
Right,
they all do in every movie.
just to see like what's the most benefit way to going out, you know?
And just to know that you experienced it essentially.
Right, and also like you with the time, like I said, like you could die and stuff, but you could do. I don't do any recreational drugs or anything, but you can like that. I wouldn't have any fear. Like it's just so
Yeah,
much. It opens the limit. There's like no limitations. It would really be really bad if I can't get out of that loop.
yeah. Do you
So,
think you'll get addicted to doing drugs in a time loop?
do you think your body would get addicted?
Or you mentally could get addicted, can't you?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe, but I don't think you would get addicted though, because like that'd be kind of crazy though. Because like most of the time they say I don't know, but they say like usually like you're chasing your first high.
Yeah,
So like when you get like high off of like crack or something or like other drugs, you essentially you never really get a high after like the same high after that. It's like a watered down version of that. So if you have to reset, wouldn't that mean you get the same high again?
yeah,
I
probably.
don't know. That sounds dangerous.
Yeah,
Um, and,
and
and
if you
that's
liked it a lot, you probably get addicted to the feeling.
yeah. But I think you eventually you get tired of it because like your body doesn't need it. You'll wake up reset, not needing it. You know, a lot with addiction is that your body needs it. So you would probably be like, "Oh man, that was really fun. Oh yeah, that was really fun," and then be like, all right, that's it," because your body doesn't really need it. So
Yeah.
you'll wake up being like as if you never had it. So I don't think you get addicted.
Okay.
You can probably go off like a binge of like a consecutive days of like drinking or like partying. But after a while, you're gonna be like, okay, I know how this goes. Let's switch it up. I don't
Yeah,
think
like I
you
know
get
how it
addicted to
feels.
it. Right.
Yeah. Did you did you guess that she was sleeping with the groom?
No, I didn't guess that. But they did a good job of like having it there always, like always having it like being on display of like she did something.
yeah. I think
Um,
I guessed it after the second time. Kind of just like they keep not showing it. So if it was any random person, they probably would have showed it. So I'm like, there has to be a reason why they keep hiding it. I'm just like, it has to be that she's sleeping with the groom. And then they have it on just like another cliche, you know. It's one of those cliches that they have all the time in the movies. Um, and I'm just like, yeah, there he goes. That's the reason why it's they keep hiding this secret person showering in her room because you always thought it was her room regardless. Oh my god, that the secret person showering there is, in her room. I thought it was the groom the whole time.
Yeah, no, I didn't catch it until towards the end. But it's funny because like we thinking about the movie, like when like the grandmother tells Niles, she was like, "Oh, I've been to more weddings than you." And he's like, "I doubt it." And like, "Oh snap!" Like, yeah. After the movie ended, I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And then like even the fact that he was trying to sleep with her like off the back, and you're just like, "Huh." That's so crazy. And he's just like, yeah, my girlfriend. She's like, man, he knows that pretty well. Like, at first, like, it's so weird because
That's
he
true.
takes it pretty well. But then you realize, oh, he's been doing this like over and over and over. And
Yeah,
also, like, he slept with her multiple times. So he's probably just like another day for him trying to sleep with her.
yeah,
It's one of those things that you don't catch until you like reflect on it. Like, oh yeah, it makes sense now.
yeah. It's funny because when I didn't know what the movie was about. So when I started watching it, I'm just like, damn, he knows a lot about what's happening in this wedding. Like he's doing all these moves that it's like rehearsed, when he's getting the drinks and he's dancing and then he's putting the chair to that guy before he falls down. Like all these things that he was doing was very rehearsed. And I'm just like, man, I wonder what's happening here. And then I didn't catch the premise until the loop happened. Like I didn't know what the movie was about because I didn't see no trailers. I didn't see anything about it. I
Me
just I
neither.
just
Yeah.
read I just read that it was a really good movie. I'm like, oh, I should watch it. And I didn't know it was a loop until the loop happened. And then I was like, oh, no wonder he knew everything because he has lived this day already. And I like the idea how it jumps, how the movie jumps you straight into the loop already, and not have the whole, oh my god, I'm stuck in a loop. Oh, what do I need to do? I need to figure this out. I like the idea that he was already there. It's just like, yeah, man, I've been doing this for a long time. And you
Right,
kind
and you
of,
kind of have her navigating that though. You kind of have her being that person, like, what is this? What's going on? How do I get out of this?
yeah,
You have her play the role of the audience in a
Yep.
way.
exactly,
So
exactly right. So I thought that was a whole unique premise of it all. And the idea of actually bringing someone with you to a loop, that's another new thing that I don't think I've seen in other loop movie, in other loop stories. There was never more than one person stuck in the loop with you, except Russian Doll. But Russian Doll, you didn't catch that until like later on. This one, you pretty much are in it with somebody else already. I thought that was pretty interesting.
yeah, I think yeah, you're right. Because the thing is, I don't really watch those kind of movies, even though they're like starting to become very popular. Um, it's always like one person in the loop, and everyone, and he's trying to navigate everybody else. But to see two people do that, especially one that's like a pro and the other one is like still trying to do it, it does add a different dynamic that I haven't really seen. So that's an interesting point. What did you think about the dinosaurs?
I had no idea what the fuck that show was about. I thought it was because they were high.
Yeah, so are they
So
like
could
in a
it,
different dimension or a different universe?
that's what I think is happening. I think that was kind of like a merging of dimensions.
But then at the end, when they're back to the next day, they actually break the loop and they're at November 10th, November 9th. You see the dinosaurs again in the background. Did like it merge again? Like time merged?
Um, it could be maybe a various things. It could be one. That time loop was essentially like a time dimension where things were crashing together, right? So at the end, when they got out of it, I feel like they were essentially in a diverged path from their actual timeline. Maybe they're not in their actual timeline that they were in when they got into the loop. It could be a lot of
Right.
different time shit.
Right. So they're not in the same timeline that they're in.
That they left from.
That'd be very interesting to have them explain that if they did that like in the credit scenes, like just have random things where like, okay, this is actually their timeline that they originally started on. And then when you think about it, if that's the case, Andy Samberg and the girl are on two different timelines though. Because with your theory of time, like if Andy Samberg goes through the loop multiple times and he's stuck in one timeline that's not the same timeline, then the Sarah that he knows is from a different timeline and not the original timeline.
Yeah, because
And
she's a
then
weird one too. Because let's say he's been doing it for 10 years. Now she's in the loop after being in the loop for 10 years. Like that one's
Right.
a weird one.
Yeah,
So I don't know. It's definitely some weird time shit happening. Or maybe you know what? What happens? They got out of the November 9th day loop, and now they're in the November 10th day loop. So essentially, they went to the next day loop. Maybe that's what ended up happening.
and that's a loop de loop.
Yeah. So they'll just be in another loop. Maybe that's what the dinosaurs mean. Because the dinosaurs were there during one of the that loop he was in, but he never noticed them either. So this is the first time he noticed it, was that day with her. I don't know. That's weird. Yeah, I don't know. I think we're thinking about it too much, man.
I think so. I mean, it's bound to happen with time travel movies. They don't. Eventually, you're like, wait, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah, because he's been doing it for 10 years. So I'm not saying he has, but let's say that the time period has been 10 years, and in those 10 years he hasn't seen those dinosaurs until that moment. So has he been universe hopping this whole time? I don't know. It's weird. I don't understand.
Universe hopping.
You know, he's probably reliving the day in different universes, over and over again. Every day he's relived is that day, but in a different universe. So
Yeah, but then
yeah, go ahead.
but that's even a bigger that's be a bigger coincidence that you happen to break the cycle and then you land on the same universe that you haven't seen in 10 years.
It's a different universe. Every time he dies, he goes to another one.
So then when he broke the cycle, he went to another universe that had dinosaurs as well?
Yeah, probably.
Not making any sense now.
No, it doesn't. Time shit doesn't make sense at all.
Time shit doesn't make sense.
Nah, because it'd be curious that if all those days he's been living has actually been different universes, different on that day, that same day. So let's say he's been to, in those 10 years, 10,000 days, he's been into 10,000 universes, and each time he reset it to another universe. So then that universe keeps living their life. He just goes to another one. He goes to another one. He goes to another one.
I don't know, man. It feels like
The multiverse.
you're losing me. I think. Yeah. You're losing me.
Alrighty, yeah, these guys don't know what they're talking about. Hi, I'm Pedro, and I'm gonna tell you what the dinosaurs are really about. So pretty much the dinosaurs are a metaphor for the main character's love. When you first see them, that's when they take the shrooms, sure, and they see it, yeah, it could all be in their head. But that's also the moment that they both realize that they're in love with each other. Now, at the very end, the dinosaurs pop up again to solidify the fact that their love survived the time loop and it's now out in the open. Dinosaurs mean love. Let me explain. So, the dinosaurs do not exist. They're extinct. To both characters, love does not exist. Love is extinct to them. They're miserable, they can't find love, blah blah blah. First time they see the dinos, they find love. Last time we see the dinos, they take love with them to the real world. So, metaphorically, dinos equal love. That's it. Simple. Alright, now back to your regularly scheduled program.
What did you think about like it's always kind of weird for, it's always like obviously a trope for rom-coms in general, for like two people have to end up together and stuff like that. But did you like their chemistry? Did you believe like, you know, they were meant to be? Did you think that like him just reliving his life over and over and him finally being with Sarah was just like, you know what, like it's kind of like, yeah, you might want to be with her, but at the end of the day, like you only ended up with her because she was in a time loop with you?
Well, it's curious because later on when we were getting arrested, he says, "Oh, I slept with you thousands of times," and maybe he has slept with her that many times because he actually liked her, but he could never get to know her because they've been in a time loop. He just knows that instance of her. He will always know that instance of her. So there's no conversation between them. There's nothing different. Like he has to repeat the same conversation over and over again in order to get in her pants. And he says, he's like, "Oh, for me, getting into your pants was easy because all I needed to do was save you from the speech, and then I could, you know, and then from there, you know, we end up doing stuff." Remember, he repeats almost the same shit over and over again. He knows how every conversation would possibly ever go because he's relived it for so long. Even in the beginning of the movie, he keeps reliving the same conversation he has with his girlfriend every single time. He keeps saying the same things to her, and she keeps saying the same things back. It's just this loop he has already. Like he just knows what he's supposed to say to keep the day going. And he even did it with the guy in the pool. And he always gives him the same beer, and he says the same shit to him. And then the guy's like, "Oh, you know, things could be different." He's like, "Well, not today." You know, he just keeps reliving the same shit all the time. So I think he actually liked her, but he just couldn't evolve it because it just didn't matter. Like is always gonna reset back to zero. So maybe the fact that she got into the loop with him, he got to know her more than what it was, and it just ended up, you know, he ended up actually really liking her more than he thought. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, but it's a romance built on like circumstance, and then eventually, which is fine. That happens, of course. I mean,
isn't all romances built in circumstances?
that's all I was about to say. Yeah, I mean, it happens all the time. Like back then, and I mean, not so much now, but you're bound to be with someone that is in close proximity to you, or at least someone around you.
Yeah, because you think about it, whenever you get with somebody, it is circumstantial of how your life is in that moment in time.
Right. You're absolutely right. It's just, this one is a bit weird though, circumstantial, because you really have no other option.
Yeah. Essentially.
As opposed to like, in life, you meet someone circumstantially, like, through an event or through friends or online or whatever the case may be. But you are living reality, so you can always opt out of not doing it or getting to know someone or having your options open or whatever. And in his case, he didn't have that.
Yeah.
He finally found someone he can like live with and enjoy his days with. So he kind of latched onto that because that was the only thing he had, really. That's why he was so reluctant at the end. So it'd be very interesting. Not like I said, one of those things where like mid through the credits, they could explain like, yeah, they don't end up staying together because like now they're backed in the real world where they have like an infinite amount of options, obviously, and they could maybe they were never good for each other for X, Y, and Z reasons or whatever the case may be.
Well,
it's very interesting.
Well, she was a lonely person, anyways, and it seems like he was a lonely person too. So they don't really have much outside of each other, regardless. I think this just brought them together, because they're both lonely people. Yeah, and she says it a lot, like, I have no attachments or whatever she meant. I forgot exactly what she said, but the gist of it is that she had no attachments to anybody, and he seems like his only attachment was his ex, in which he found out that she was cheating on him in the trip, I think. So I don't know, that one was murky, but if he didn't want to go back to his old life, that means he didn't have shit in his old life. You get what I'm saying? Because if he had a life, he would want to get out of it.
It's why I think. That's why I think like or he's probably like maybe he just didn't remember anymore. It could be that like he could have been there for so long. Like I don't know, man. Like it could have been decades of a life lived in there. Who knows? But
yeah.
That's why it was so weird for me that he was so hesitant of going back. Because if you don't go back and it works for her, then you don't have her anymore. Like it's a bigger risk,
Yeah.
So it's a bigger risk that you take. Because if she does it and it doesn't work, the next day it's fine because she'll be back and you can bother her again.
Yeah. Unless she literally died.
Or she died, yeah. But then his loop would still be the same and she would be still there, just not her.
No, I think that. Yeah.
His loop would be fine. The same way that when he left, he was still there.
Yeah,
when Niles left, Roy went back to talk to Niles, and it was like the day, regular Niles, the day of the wedding.
Yep.
So
right.
With that logic, if Sarah left and she would have A, died, or B, escaped to the other realm, then he would have still had Sarah, just like the day of the wedding Sarah, not infinite loop Sarah.
Yeah.
And with that logic, he could have just brought her back into the loop.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know, man. Like, this movie's so confusing. And then at the end of the day, like, is that the real? That's that, like, time movies.
Time movies, dude. They always fuck with you. They always make you think about all the stupid shit.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts, Orlando?
No, just like I'm confused now with the whole like loop. Like, yeah, he could have just bought her. He could have just put a piece of candy into the cave and got another Sarah to go on the loop with him.
Yeah, but then he has to go through that work all over again. of
I mean,
trying
he
to
got time.
convince
He got
her.
nothing but time.
Huh?
He got nothing but time.
Yeah, but then she'll go through the same process, and eventually she'll want to leave again. I don't think you could take the person out like who they are. That's who she is as a person.
What is that called? Where like it's just a full circle, like over and over and over.
I don't know. Circle of life.
That's
No,
what it's
animal
called.
shit.
Pandora's box. I don't know.
I don't. It's some shit like that. But yeah, it's it was just it's an infinite loop essentially of
Right.
repeating the same shit over and over again. So he did the smart thing. He escaped, and that's what's good. You know, good shit. Good for him. You know what's funny? Why did Roy want to get wasted again before he left? Or he's just like, oh, I found a way out. Now I could just do whatever. I don't. I didn't understand that.
I think it was that's what had to be, what it must have been. It must have been like, okay, I have my exit plan. Let me get fucked up one last time. I mean, I know I would. Like, if I knew the exit strategy, I'd be like, okay, why not go out again with a bang or something?
Yeah.
Because he was essentially living his day, but peacefully, with his kids and like his wife. So it seemed like he was like enjoying that and
He
being
accepted
happy
it.
in that. He accepted that, but obviously, just you can't enjoy that forever because it's being boring. So he must have been like, all right, let's one last hurrah for the day.
Yeah. For the memories.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I was gonna say, do you think they remember their time loop? And I think they do because when they got out of it, they remembered each other. So you do remember? your
Right.
time
They
loop.
remember the time loop. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. All right. Any last words now?
No, that's it. I feel like we talked a lot about time travel, though.
We talked a lot. Well, me and Orlando recommend this movie, right, Orlando?
Right.
You should go watch it. If you came this far, you already saw it. Recommend it to other people, I guess. Whatever. Hope you enjoyed this review of Palm Springs, a Hulu movie. Let us know what you thought about the movie and our time discussion. Till next time.
Later, guys.